Discover the heartwarming moment I exposed on camera. 3 life-changing revelations about my son. There are moments in life that reveal the raw truth. Moments that can only be captured in the flicker of a camera lens. This was one of those nights. As the golden glow of the setting sun spilled through the kitchen window, I aimed the camera at my son Jake, a soon-to-be high school graduate struggling under the weight of expectations. The laughter from the neighborhood children outside faded into a soft backdrop, amplifying the tension that crackled between us like a live wire. I was desperate to peel back the layers of silence that had cloaked us for too long, to uncover the unspoken grief that loomed in the corners of our home, the grief of losing my beloved wife. Jake's mothered as we settled in for our usual dinner. The silence pressed down heavily, thick enough to cut. Jake poked at his food, and I could see the flicker of frustration in his eyes. This wasn't what I intended. I wanted to inspire him, to spark his dreams of college and a better life, the life I believed his mother would have envisioned. But each time I pushed too hard, the gap between us just stretched wider. I adjusted the camera, hoping to weave together a tapestry of candor and understanding. "Jake, what do you really want?" I asked, the words coming out hesitantly. The question hung between us like a dare, a challenge. He looked up, brows furrowing. I don't know, Dad. It's hard." His voice quivered, and for the first time in a long while, I felt a pang of recognition. The ache mirrored my own. He wasn't just trying to live with my expectations. He was wrestling with loss too. A silent struggle that tore at our familial bond. Before we could delve deeper into this fragile connection, I interrupted myself. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue with renewed focus. I turned the camera back on. The sun dipped lower, casting long shadows across the table, and then it happened. Jake poured out his heart. "I miss Mom. Feels like I can't make her proud. I see my friends succeeding and I just feel empty sometimes." A lump formed in my throat, my vision blurred with unshed tears. That moment broke open the floodgates. I opened up, admitting my own fears, my worries of failing him as a father. I worried every day that in trying to give him everything, I might take away the very thing he needed most, my support, my love without conditions. As we shared those life-changing revelations, the tension that had defined our relationship began to ebb. Just as we were building bridges, my phone buzzed insistently on the countertop. I glanced at the screen and froze. An opportunity. Financial security, but with strings attached, a choice that could shatter our fledgling connection or offer us stability. The weight of every moment pressed down on me as I looked back at Jake. The uncertainty was palpable. What would I choose? Would seizing this chance draw us closer together? Or would it push us further apart? As the golden light faded into twilight, both father and son found themselves at a crossroads, each breath clinging to the hope that this could be a turning point and waiting for answers that felt just out of reach. The stillness in the room felt thicker than before, wrapping around us both like a heavy blanket. My eyes lingered on Jake's face. A mix of hope and dread painted across his features. I could feel the tide of emotions swirling, threatening to swallow us if I made the wrong move. I took a breath, steadying my racing heart, and grabbed my phone. "Let us pause for a second, Jake," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. "I need to think about this opportunity." He nodded, but instead of relief, his expression darkened. "It's about money, right? Like if we take it, everything will be okay?" The truth stung. I could see him grappling with the weight of it all, the weight of loss, expectations, and now this potential decision hanging in the air. "It's not just about money, son. It's about what this could mean for us, for our future." The shadows deepened as twilight pooled into the corners of the room. Jake clenched his fists, his frustration bubbling up like a spring. "It always comes down to that. You think I want to see you stressed about money? I just want you to be happy. I want us to be okay. Without all the extra stuff." I know, I murmured. "But I can't help thinking about what your mom would want for us. She wanted the best for you." Jake's face fell. The name hung between us like the question we hadn't yet answered. "You keep saying that, Dad, but if Mom were here?" The words hung there, electrifying the air, and my heart twisted painfully. I understood the unwelcome path he had begun to tread. What do you think, Jake? I pressed, wanting to pull him back before the words wove a tapestry of untruths. What would she really want? He looked away, staring through the window into the dimming light of the yard. It was as if he was searching the depths of the fading sky for a piece of her, for some guidance in this heavy moment. I think she'd want us to be real with each other. To not just chase after things or... He paused, frustration breaking him again. I wish I didn't have to worry about disappointing you. I don't want any more pressure. Once again my heart coordinated with the lingering shadows. Jake, I never want to put pressure on you. But sometimes we have to make hard choices. And sometimes those choices break you. As Jake burst out, raw emotion spilling over. I felt a crack inside me as I watched him struggle. His words echoed painfully, each syllable weighing down the air until the silence felt suffocating. I wanted to reach out, to assure him that we would navigate this together. But uncertainty bound my hands. Just then, a pang went through me. The thought of that opportunity felt less like a lifeline now and more like a noose. What price were we willing to pay for the semblance of stability? I looked at Jake, the flickering light of hope wavering in his eyes. What if I started a new idea sprouting in my mind? What if we redefine success together? What if we align our beliefs with what truly matters to us? Jake's brow furrowed, curiosity dancing momentarily with his frustration. What do you mean? I leaned closer, heart pounding, eager to share the vision. Let us talk about what makes us truly happy, and how we can achieve it without losing a part of ourselves in the process. His expression transformed slightly, the light of possibility flickering anew. You mean like finding ways to remember Mom while also moving forward? Exactly, buddy, I breathed out, relief washing over me. We can build something meaningful, set goals that reflect our love for her rather than letting her memory chain us down. But before I could continue, my phone buzzed again. A message from the opportunity portal. Time was running out. I hesitated, the tension resurfacing. Would I really be able to choose between stability and our newfound connection? With the weight of emotions heavy, we stood once again at a crossroads. Would we take this leap together? Or were we destined to spiral further into loneliness? As I stole a glance at Jake, I knew the next moment could either bind us closer or break our fragile bond. What would we decide? The air shifted around us, a palpable current that crackled with the weight of unspoken words and the ticking clock. I glanced at my phone, the screen lit up with the time ticking closer to a choice I felt utterly unprepared to make. Jake, I said, urgency pushing my words out more forcefully than I intended. Let us take a minute and really think this through. It's not just your future at stake. It's ours. His frustration simmered just beneath the surface. You act like I don't care, Dad. I do, it's just hard. My heart twisted, knowing all too well what that meant. We had both suffered. We had lost. As he crossed his arms, I could see how his eyes glistened, mirroring the dampness threatening to spill over. I wanted to take that pain away, to shield him from the burden he felt as I had inevitably added to it. But what could I say? Did your mom ever tell you about her dreams? I ventured softly, hoping that would open a window instead of closing one. He turned to me, brow raised. What do you mean? The things she wanted to do, the places she wanted to go, how her face would come alive when she spoke about them? This time I leaned in, praying for connection. We can honor her, you know? By pursuing our own dreams. Maybe that's what she wants for us, freedom instead of just surviving. He listened, his arms slowly uncrossing, his breath calming in rhythm with mine. It felt like a tender thread weaving between us, connecting our fragile hearts. I remember her excited about the art classes she wanted to take. She used to say it was never too late to start. Exactly. What if we took that idea and applied it to our lives now? We could start with small steps, I suggested, my voice gaining momentum. What if we explore something together? Something that ignites that spark she once had? Suddenly there was a shift in his face, a glimmer of interest fighting against the shadows. Like what? He asked, tilting his head, curiosity edging into the space where frustration once dominated. What if we took the summer to travel some places she loved? We could do it as an adventure. Rekindle those memories while creating new ones at the same time. It could be part of our healing. He let the thought hang there for a moment, weighing it against the heaviness in the room. That could be amazing, Dad. Just as quickly, I sensed his unsurety returning as he hesitated, his eyes dropping to the ground. But we wouldn't be making any money doing that. What about the opportunity? You are right, it could seem irresponsible. But this might not be the only chance out there, Jake. Those opportunities will keep coming through life. As long as we're true to ourselves, even the challenges can lead to the happiness we deserve, I reassured him. The tension between us started to thaw, as if the air had transformed into a lighter melody. I guess I just want to feel safe. Like if we do this, nothing will fall apart again. Safety is in everything, I replied, infusing each word with conviction. Sometimes taking risks, real risks, can open doors to unexpected joy. Jake's expression softened, and he looked back at me, the weighted tension shifting into something softer and more hopeful. Okay, I'd be willing to try. For her and for us. His words breathed life into my heart, awakening dreams I thought would never resurface. As we sat there, grappling with our collective future, my phone buzzed again. The opportunity call looming larger than before. Are you ready for this? I asked, my voice steady despite the whirlwind inside. Jake nodded, uncertainty simmering beneath a flicker of hope. Yeah. But what if we miss out? We won't, I promised, a surge of determination welling up. A choice nestled dangerously at the edge, waiting for us to make our move. Would we dare to leap into the unknown? Trusting in the bond of love and memory that grounded us? The question hung like a cloud of possibilities, thick with urgency. What would the next step be in this fragile dance with fate? Let us do it, Jake said, his voice steadying with each word. There was a newfound resolve in him, a willingness that made my heart race with both excitement and fear. I reached for my phone, the screen still displaying the impending call. But suddenly the world felt lighter, like a fog lifting. Okay, let us map it out. I dug into my pocket, pulling out a wrinkled piece of paper I always kept on me. Even in moments of doubt, it had become a little outline of hope. Together we began to sketch what our journey would look like. It doesn't have to be perfect, I reminded him, watching as he put down the first tentative scribble. Just places that remind us of her. He drew a star next to a small town in the north, one we used to visit during summers. Memories flooded back, sun-soaked picnics, laughter echoing around the lake, his mother dancing freely to nothing but the whispers of the wind. My chest tightened with longing, but also anticipation for what was to come. What about that art show she always wanted to see? Jake asked, his pencil hovering over the page. I grinned, pride swelling inside me. That's the spirit, buddy. The pencil moving across paper started to sound like a drumbeat, igniting a rhythm we hadn't felt in so long. Every addition was a step into healing, each line a connection binding us closer. The towns and stops began to fill the sheet, and with that, I could see Jake's eyes lighting up, each destination a beacon of possibility. Do you think we could try to find some of her artwork? He asked, his voice tinged with wistfulness. I nodded, my heart swelling. Of course. There are people who knew her, artists she admired. It'll be like scouting for treasures that belong to her. At that moment the phone buzzed again, loud and insistent. I looked at the screen, conflicted. Did I let that opportunity call drown out the magic we were just beginning to create? Just a second, okay? I need to see what this is, I said, my eyes darting to the screen. Yeah, sure, Jake replied, but his voice was softer, a hint of concern hanging between us. I took a deep breath and pressed answer, bracing myself for the conversation to strip away the warmth we had just built. Mr. Carter? Came the voice through the speaker. We've reviewed your application, and we have some exciting developments regarding the project. I felt Jake's eyes on me, the weight of his hope pressing against my chest. The sound of the caller's voice faded into white noise, drowned out by the racing thoughts around the decision ahead. Part of me wanted to push this call aside. A larger part feared it might offer me everything I thought we needed. Dad? Jake interrupted my spiraling thoughts. Shouldn't we suddenly? The warmth in the room felt like it was dimming. Jake, I said carefully, I need to handle this. As I returned my focus to the call, all I could hear was his quiet disappointment. Something broke inside me, just a crack, but enough to feel the shift. The tension returned, blurring the happiness we had just unearthed. Can you hold on a moment? I said into the phone while stealing a glance at Jake, whose face had fallen. Look, we might be interested in a different direction, but the conversation continued without pause, distractions multiplying around me. I wrestled with the choice in my hand, a project which could mean security and a glimmer of promise, or the raw, beautiful uncertainty of a summer spent rebuilding our connection. The air thickened with urgency, each second slipping through my fingers like sand. Did I owe it to Jake to pursue a stable future? Or was it time to embrace our messy, beautiful adventure together? As I listened to the voice on the line, the future teetering on the edge, I realized something. The horizon was far too open for just one path. Dad? Jake's voice pulled me back. What do you truly want? His question lingered, echoing like a compass point back to what mattered most. But my heart raced as I mulled over the possibilities, and in that moment, I knew the real decision was just beginning. How would I respond to my son's call for clarity? Amidst the cacophony of choices? The silence that followed Jake's question was palpable. I glanced at him, searching his face for answers I didn't have. His eyes, usually so full of light, were clouded with uncertainty. How did I explain to him the weight of my indecision? The call was still buzzing in my ear, but I could hardly focus on the words anymore. Jake, I began, my voice trembling slightly. What I want us to be okay. I want us to explore, to remember her, to feel alive. He nodded, but the spark in his eyes flickered. But that's not the future you wanted, right? The project, the job, it's all secure. Secure doesn't always mean happy, I countered, feeling a surge of emotion. Sometimes the tough path leads to the best memories. Jake shifted in his seat, his lips pressed into a thin line as he processed my words. But Dad, if you don't take this job, what if he started? Jake, listen, I interrupted softly. Taking that job might mean I'm just going through the motions. What about you? What do you want? His brow furrowed, and I could almost see him wrestling with his thoughts. I want this trip. I want to feel like we're doing something for Mom. A lump formed in my throat. Our moments had been too focused on what I thought was best for us, drowning out his voice. I took a deep breath, feeling the mounting pressure of my choices. Then let us do it. Let us explore those places. Find her artwork, let's rediscover her together. The joy that blossomed on his face made my heart swell. Really? Really? I grinned, my fears melting away. We'll take this journey together. Right after I finish this call. Okay. He folded his arms, a tentative smile breaking through the earlier tension. I returned my focus to the phone, ready to make my statement clear. Mr. Carter, the voice resumed, this project could open doors for your future. It's a great opportunity. I appreciate that, I said, fighting to maintain clarity amid the swirl of emotions. But I think I need to step back. I want to be able to fully commit to the project. There was silence on the other end, and I held my breath, waiting for the fallout. Understood, the caller finally responded. If you change your mind, let us know. I ended the call with a mix of relief and anxiety. I turned to Jake, whose eyes were wide. The air between us buzzed like electricity, filled with the possibilities of what lay ahead. Now about that map, I said, trying to lighten the mood. He beamed, flipping the wrinkled paper back open. Together we pored over our makeshift itinerary, excitement blossoming as we exchanged stories and memories. The earlier tension faded like fog, and the warmth of connection wrapped around us. Let us set off tomorrow, he exclaimed. I chuckled, that might be a little sudden, but I love the enthusiasm. Let us take the night to prepare, okay? Deal. His smile alone felt like a fresh start, a promise of all the new memories we would create. We spent the rest of the evening planning and reminiscing, each laugh a stitch in the tapestry we were weaving together. As the night wore on, a sense of peace settled in my chest. Maybe this was the right choice after all. Yet, a gnawing thought lingered at the back of my mind. What were the pieces of her we might uncover? Each artwork, every place we visited, could hold echoes of her spirit, fragments of our past that might also lead us to a surprising revelation about ourselves. Just before sleep claimed me, I caught a glimpse of something shiny just beyond my window, an early star blinking against the darkening sky. What would tomorrow bring us? And then the question hit me. As we moved forward into the unknown, would the journey heal us or unravel something hidden? Morning light poured through the curtains, a gentle reminder that today was a new beginning. I woke to the sound of shuffling feet. Jake was already up, his energy palpable as he meticulously laid out everything we might need for our trip: clothes, snacks, and that old camera Mom used to love. Dad, look, he said, holding up the camera like a trophy. This will be great for capturing our adventures. His enthusiasm was contagious, and suddenly, I felt that familiar flutter of excitement in my chest. However, as I watched him, I couldn't help but feel a twinge of sadness. This camera held our memories, but it also captured the moments that were lost. Yeah, it'll be perfect, I replied, forcing a smile. He grabbed my hand, pulling me to the makeshift dining table we had set up. Let us have breakfast and then go, he said, his eyes sparkling with anticipation. We chatted over cereal, planning our first stop, an art gallery she had once mentioned, where her work had been displayed in her youth. I could picture her there, laughing and chatting with fellow artists, her spirit radiant. But was that memory full of joy, or was it tinged with the bittersweet? Jake rarely spoke much about her. I knew this trip was important for both of us, yet I couldn't shake the feeling that we were tiptoeing around her absence. Once we finished, we loaded the car with our gear, and Jake turned the radio up as we drove. The familiar tunes from our past drifted through the air, stirring memories of road trips and the way she would sing off-key, her laughter ringing through the car. Do you remember that time Mom made us sing with her at the top of our lungs? Jake asked, breaking the comfortable silence. Of course. I think the whole neighborhood heard us, I laughed, the sound a bit wobbly and full of nostalgia. Yeah, and you tried to drown her out by turning up the volume, he chuckled. Guilty as charged. The laughter faded as we drove further away from home. With every mile, the weight of our shared grief settled in like a thick fog. I had envisioned this trip as an escape, a way to rediscover joy. But now I realized it was also an unearthing. What if those memories shook loose the fragments of hurt we hadn't addressed? While talking, I noticed a small town with colorful storefronts off the main road. Jake, should we stop here? Yeah, could be fun, he grinned. We parked, and I felt a flutter of nerves as we stepped out. The warm sun felt good on my skin, momentarily lifting the heaviness I carried. As we strolled through the streets, everything felt alive, the vibrant flowers in pots, the sound of laughter spilling out from a nearby cafe. For a moment, I was lost in the backdrop. Felt oddly perfect. But then, out of the corner of my eye, I spotted a familiar sight, a small art studio tucked between two larger shops. My heart raced. Could it be? Let us check it out, I urged. Jake followed, curiosity lighting his face. The door creaked open, revealing a treasure trove of paintings. The walls were adorned with vivid colors and striking images. As we wandered deeper into the studio, I felt drawn to one particular piece that hung at the back. Rays of sunlight streamed through the window, illuminating its beauty, a landscape that looked so familiar. It was like a scene from my childhood, a place I had almost forgotten, yet it tugged at my heartstrings until I could hardly breathe. I turned to Jake, who stood beside me, his expression a mirror of shock and recognition. Dad, is that? Yeah, it is, I breathed, my heart pounding. But then came the slip. A tiny slip of paper tucked beneath the painting caught my eye. My hands reached for it like a moth to a flame. What would the details reveal? What had been left unsaid? The answer loomed just within reach, and as I unfolded the paper, I felt the world around me fade. What revelations awaited us? Would we finally confront the shadows of the past, or find a light to guide us forward? As I unfolded the slip of paper, my heart raced. The words on the crumpled edge blurred as memories flooded my mind. Jake leaned closer, his breath warm against my arm. What does it say, Dad? I took a deep breath and smoothed the paper out. To my surprise, it wasn't just a price tag or a description of the painting. Instead, there was a note, handwritten in a familiar script that sent a shiver down my spine. To whoever finds this, it began. This place holds the essence of joy and sorrow intertwined. Remember to cherish every sunset, for it mirrors life's fleeting moments. I looked over at Jake, whose eyes widened in intrigue. While Mom wrote this, he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. I nodded, barely able to form words. The flutter of nostalgia turned into a heavy swell of emotion. This was a piece of her soul left behind, an echo of her spirit lingering in the space she once cherished. Yes, buddy, she did. Can we take it with us? His earnest hope hung in the air, filling the small studio with a warmth that chased away the chill of grief. Absolutely. It belongs with us now, I replied, folding the note carefully and placing it in my pocket. I glanced back to the painting, my eyes tracing the familiar landscape. This was your mom's favorite spot. She spent so many evenings here. Jake studied the painting with a newfound intensity. Can we come back here? I want to see it again and maybe talk about her. Yes, I agreed, my throat tightening. We can make this a regular trip. The idea of returning felt like a lifeline, a way to bridge the gap between us. To weave her memory into our lives instead of leaving it buried under layers of silence and sorrow. As we stepped out of the studio, invigorated by the moment, I was surprised by the shifts surrounding us. The laughter from the cafe felt sharper, the sunlight brighter. It was as if the world had come alive again, asking us to join in its dance, reminding us of the vibrancy we once had as a family. Jake tugged at my sleeve, pulling me towards the center of the town square where a small festival was taking place. Look, they have games and food. I laughed, the sound echoing in the air, full of a wild kind of joy I hadn't felt in a long time. Let us go. As we made our way to the festivities, Jake's excitement bubbled over. We tried our luck at the ring toss, munching on cotton candy, our laughter mingling with the sounds of children playing. With every game, it felt as if we were relearning how to let joy back into our lives. But beneath the laughter, an anxious thought lingered in the back of my mind. The words from the note echoed life's fleeting moments. The shadows of the past were still there. Was this light just a fleeting distraction? Or could it truly lead us to where we needed to go as we unraveled the tangled threads of grief woven into our lives? Just as I settled into a rhythm of laughter and lightness, I caught sight of an older gentleman who had been watching us with a knowing look. Something in his gaze pulled at my heart. Was this someone who knew Mom? Who held pieces of her story? As he approached, I felt my pulse quicken. What secrets or truths awaited us in this small town that could help us heal? Excuse me, the older man said, his voice deep and warm like the morning sun. He took a step closer, still keeping a respectful distance. I couldn't help but notice the painting you were admiring. It holds more than just a beautiful scene, doesn't it? I glanced at Jake, whose curiosity mirrored my own. It certainly does. It belonged to my wife, I replied, my voice steady but softening under the weight of remembrance. The man's eyes narrowed slightly as he studied Jake. She speaks of fleeting moments and memories intertwined. It sounds like she understood how precious each moment can be. Jake shifted beside me, sensing the emotional gravity of the conversation. Do you know her? He asked, his voice small yet hopeful. The man hesitated, a flicker of recognition crossing his face. I did, a long time ago. Your wife had a gift for capturing the beauty in life, even during difficult times. A rush of questions flooded my mind. How did he know her? What stories did he carry? Before I could speak, he continued, I used to run an art collective in this town. Your wife brought so much light into our lives with her art. She had a way of making the everyday feel extraordinary. Jake's eyes sparkled with interest. Did she really? He looked up at me, searching for reassurance. I nodded, hardly able to contain the pride swelling in my chest. She did. Your mom had a talent for seeing beauty everywhere. It's one of the things I loved most about her. The man smiled, the corners of his eyes crinkling. She invited us to this very festival a few years back. She wanted to show us how art could unite people. He paused, shifting his stance, then added, would you like to see some of her work? There's something special I've kept to share with those who cherished her. Jake clutched my hand tightly, anticipation lighting up his face. Can we, Dad? Please. For a moment I hesitated. The idea of diving deeper into the past was daunting. What if it unearthed more sorrow than joy? But looking at Jake, I realized this was an opportunity, a bridge to understanding his mom. A chance to create more memories together. Sure, I finally replied, a new determination in my voice. Lead the way. We followed the man through the bustling festival, vibrant colors and laughter filling the air. Each step felt significant. Would this man help shine a light on my wife's legacy? As we made our way through the crowd, I thought of the notes she had left behind, how they seemed to whisper truths long buried. Would her words lead us to a peaceful understanding of the past? Or would this journey expose deep wounds we weren't ready to face? When we reached a small gallery filled with familiar paintings, my breath caught in my throat. There she was, alive in the strokes of her brush, the colors of her spirit pouring over each canvas. But it was a particular piece that caught my eye. It wasn't just a painting. It was a portrait of a sunset exactly as described in the note. The same colors danced across the canvas, blending joy with melancholy. What did it reveal about her views on life? As I leaned in closer, I remembered the man's words. This was made for the fleeting moments. Suddenly, a twinge of vulnerability gripped me. If her art could evoke such emotions from a stranger, what could it do for us? Would that very revelation bring us the healing we so desperately sought? Dad? Jake pulled at my arm, his voice steady but laced with concern. What's wrong? Are you okay? I sighed, emotions swirling. I think I will be, I said, uncertain if I believed it. Just then, the older man stepped forward, placing a hand on my shoulder. Her art has a way of bringing people together as she intended. You're not alone in this, you know. You and your son deserve to feel her spirit every day. A soft whisper of hope flickered within me. But before I could respond, something in the darkness of the gallery pulled my attention, an obscured painting at the back. Shadows danced around it, beckoning me closer. What's that? I asked, curiosity igniting again. That's a special one, the man replied, a hint of mystery in his voice. It tells a story of love and loss, only meant for the hearts that are ready to hear it. What could it possibly hold? Would it bring more pain or solace? I took a step forward, breathless with anticipation. As the gallery transformed in front of me, I couldn't shake the feeling that our journey was just beginning. I stepped closer to the painting, my heart pounding. The man's cryptic words echoed in my mind like a haunting melody, drawing me toward the canvas that lay hidden in the shadows. It felt as if that piece of art held the key to a door I wasn't even sure I wanted to open. Jake squeezed my hand and I glanced down at him. His eyes were wide with innocent curiosity. What do you think is in there, Dad? He asked, his excitement curbing my doubts for just a moment. I'm not entirely sure, I said, forcing a smile. But I think it may help us understand your mom a bit more. As I reached for the painting, I could feel the anticipation crackling in the air. Gently, I pulled back the cover, revealing a mural of colors that took my breath away. It depicted a couple standing on a beach, silhouetted against a sunset that bled into shades of gold and deep violet. But what caught my attention wasn't just the beauty of the landscape. It was the emotion in the figures, their hands intertwined, their faces tilted toward the sky, captured in a moment that felt eternal. It's beautiful, Jake whispered, stepping closer. Do you think that's you and Mom? The thought struck me hard and I struggled to find words. Did my wife see us this way? Locked in a moment of pure love, untouched by life's storms? A tear slipped down my cheek and I wiped it away quickly, not wanting to alarm Jake. I turned to the man, whose expression was softening. What does it mean? I asked, desperation creeping into my voice. He took a moment before responding, as if weighing his words carefully. This painting reflects a journey, a love story filled with joy but also heartbreak. It captures the essence of fleeting moments. Your wife understood that these moments don't always last, but they are what we carry with us. They shape who we are. The weight of his insight landed squarely on my heart. I felt the echo of my wife's laughter, the flicker of her creativity. It was as if she had left behind pieces of herself in every stroke, every hue, and here I was standing in front of her most vulnerable expression. What are we supposed to do with this? I asked, voice cracking slightly. How do we honor her memory without feeling the weight of our loss? The man's gaze softened further, and he stepped closer. You honor her by embracing the love she gave you. Allow the memories to fill you with warmth rather than sorrow. Share her story, create new moments, and remember that she lives on in your hearts. Jake looked up at me, eyes glistening with understanding. So we keep remembering her? I nodded. Yes, buddy. We talk about her, we laugh about the good times, and we look for ways to keep her spirit alive. Drawing a deep breath, I turned back to the painting. Something inside me shifted, and it wasn't just sadness I felt. There was a flicker of hope, of possibility in keeping my wife's memory alive. Just as my heart began to steady, Jake gasped. Wait, look. There's something written on the canvas. Sure enough, beneath the paint, small words quietly emerged, glinting in the dim gallery light. I leaned in, squinting to make them out. Love persists in every sunset. Carry it with you. The initial shock of the message sent a shiver through me. I whispered, confused. The man took a step forward, recognition flooding his features. That must be an old friend of your wife's. She often worked on projects with others, ensuring that different voices were heard. Perhaps they shared a special bond. Every instinct in me ignited. A mystery now loomed. What had this meant to her? Why was she linked to this piece of her heart? Could unraveling this connection help us understand her even better? Jake tugged on my sleeve, his eyes wide with interest. Can we find out what this means, Dad? It feels like an adventure. His enthusiasm was infectious, and in that moment, I realized this journey was about more than memories. It was about discovering the layers of a life beautifully lived. I nodded, resolute. Yes, we will. Let us uncover this story together. As we left the gallery, a sense of purpose filled the air. I glanced back one last time at the painting. Maybe this was just the beginning of something deeper, something that would lead us to healing, connection, and understanding. But who exactly was this at? And how would their story intertwine with ours? The answers felt like a hidden treasure just waiting to be discovered. The sun bathed the town in warm golden light as Jake and I prepared to leave the gallery. Moments before stepping out, a feeling of certainty flowed through me. This wasn't just about remembering. This was about rediscovering who we were as a family and embracing the love that still surrounded us. Even in its absence, as we walked through the festival again, weaving through games and laughter, I looked at Jake. His eyes sparkled with newfound energy, an eagerness to delve into the adventure that was unfolding before us. It struck me how this journey had transformed from mere escape to an enriching exploration of our late wife and mother. Jake, I said, my voice steady but full of emotion. This trip, it's not just about visiting places. It's about uncovering Mom's story, learning all of her layers, who she was, what inspired her, and embracing what she left behind. Jake nodded, clearly processing my words. So we'll find out, right? He asked, his enthusiasm undeterred. We can really uncover what Mom meant to so many people. Absolutely, I smiled, the pride swelling in my chest. Just like her art, we're going to keep discovering pieces of her spirit along the way. With a gentle squeeze of his hand, we ventured out of the gallery, our hearts filled with hope. Each step felt lighter, like a weight lifted, replaced by renewed purpose. As the sounds of the festival enveloped us, I caught sight of the old man standing at the gallery entrance, watching us leave with a knowing look. A silent promise had passed between us, a connection and a shared understanding that our journey was far from over. We spent the next couple of days traveling from gallery to gallery and town to town. Each time we unraveled a little more of her story. People recognized Jake from her photographs, sharing small anecdotes that painted a rich portrait of the life they'd known. We visited local artists who had been inspired by her work, listened to tales of her laughter echoing through studio walls, and gazed at pieces she had created, each one a thread in the tapestry of her influence. Every shared memory felt like a patch stitched onto our hearts. We laughed and cried together, learning the weight of joy and sorrow intertwined. It wasn't easy, but with every step we took, we felt her presence becoming more vibrant, as if she was walking beside us, guiding us through the maze of our past. One evening, in a quaint little town by the waterfront, I noticed a small art collective hosting an open mic night. My heart raced at the thought of her participating. Should we check this out, Jake? I asked. His face lit up. Yes, maybe someone there knows about A. We found ourselves in a cozy space, surrounded by local musicians and poets, with the backdrop of the ocean reflecting the twilight. As each performer took the stage, sharing not just their art but their truths, I couldn't help but think of your mom and how vibrant her spirit was in moments just like this. After the show, I approached the host, a gentle woman named Rose, who spoke with a warmth that instantly made me feel at home. I was wondering if any artists here might know I asked carefully. Her face lit up with recognition. Ah yes, I remember her. She was talented and passionate. She often contributed pieces with heart and depth. But she paused, her brow furrowing. No one has heard from her in quite some time. She has a unique way of bringing people together even now. A lump formed in my throat. Could you share anything about their bond? The question slipped out before I could hold it back, desperation creeping into my voice. Rose thought for a moment, leaning closer. They were creative souls who collaborated to inspire others. They understood loss and beauty in a way that shaped their work. Jake and I exchanged glances. It felt like we were on the verge of something significant, pieces of a puzzle falling into place. Thank you, I said, my heart pounding. Do you have any way for us to reach A? Actually, I do, she smiled softly, passing along a scribbled note with a name and number. It's a long shot, but You might find what you're looking for. With gratitude pouring from my heart, we left that evening with renewed hope. It felt like we were finally getting closer to untangling the threads. That night, as we sat on the beach, toes dipped in the cool water beneath the starry sky, I turned to Jake. "This is all for her, isn't it?" I said, staring out at the horizon. He laughed lightly. "Yeah, and for us too. We're keeping her spirit alive." The night grew still around us, a comforting hush as waves flowed in and out. Each lapping sound felt like a heartbeat, echoing the bond we were crafting. A true partnership fueled by memories and adventure. With each passing day, it became evident that our journey was more than a quest for closure. It was a path toward transformation, a way to heal through rediscovery. And as I watched the stars twinkle in the night sky, I knew that the love we shared would forever light our way, that even in the depths of sorrow, hope could always burn brighter. This was our moment, a step forward to embrace the beauty of the fleeting moments, laden with the promise of new beginnings. As we prepared to dive into the next chapter, I felt a swell of gratitude for those who had touched our lives and the art that wove it all together. That I in that sea of possibility, hand in hand with my boy, I had never felt more certain. We were stepping into our future, glowing softly with the essence of her love. As we turned away from the shore, laughter bubbling between us, I realized life is often messy and complicated, but can also be filled with unexpected beauty. Yes, we were still male and navigating pain, but now we were doing it together, discovering the light even in the shadows. And in that shared understanding, a promise lingered. We would keep moving forward together, honoring her at every step. Life would never be the same, but in embracing the journey, we would learn to cherish every sunset, carrying her truth with us in every fleeting moment. Now, as you reflect on our finished journey, I urge you to embrace your own path of rediscovery with love and depth. Share your stories and remember the fleeting beauty life offers. And please, subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive heartwarming stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help others discover the magic too. Comment your reactions and feelings about this ending. We want to hear your thoughts. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. You need to show your support like only true fans understand. Together, let us create a community that celebrates love, memory, and the journey of life.